You're listening to the Payments Perspective podcast, where we help you navigate your payments journey one episode at a time. WestPay supports over 800 members, from financial institutions to fintechs, through expert education, guidance, and over 50 years of payments expertise. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the Payments Perspective podcast by WestPay. My name is Jim Petkovitz, Vice President of Education and Events at WestPay. Today, we're going to do things just a little bit different. We have a bunch of guests today. Our podcast is titled Industry Accreditation and Overachievers Perspective, so it might give you a little bit of insight as to the strange affliction that each of us have. But just in case you don't pick up on it immediately, the common theme is that each of us have earned all four of the industry accreditations: the AAP, Accredited ACH Professional; AFPP, Accredited Faster Payments Professional; APRP, Accredited Payments Risk Professional; and last but not least, NCP, National Check Professional. So instead of having everybody introduce themselves, I'm going to have them introduce themselves as they join in the conversation. So I'm going to start with the first question, and we'll start with Connie, actually. Connie, why don't you tell us the order you earned each of your accreditations?
All right. So Connie LaChance, I'm here with WestPay, and I got my accreditations. First was the AAP way back in the day, and then it was a really long time before I got another one. And then when I came here to WestPay, I got my NCP, and then right after that, the following year, the APRP in the first year that one came out, and then finally in the first year of the AFPP is when I got that one.
And Carmen, do you want to go next?
I'm Carmen Murphy. I work at WestPay, just like Connie, and the order which I got my accreditations was AAP first, then APRP, NCP, and 2 weeks later, the AFPP.
So you did them both in 1 year. You did the fastest and the slowest at the same time.
The fastest payments network and the slowest payments network.
Would you recommend that path for people who are thinking about this in the future?
Absolutely not. It was a very lofty goal, and I thought, it's fine, I can do it. I actually had not passed the NCP the year before, so I felt like I only halfway needed to study for that one. But I mean, the truth is I failed, so I needed to study a lot for that one. So I took that one, got that over with, and then immediately after started studying for and took the AFP. Passed them both. So
Congratulations. That was crazy, though. I mean, we're all crazy, but that was super crazy.
yeah.
Why don't we go with one of our members? Jeremy, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your order?
Sure. So my name is Jeremy Brown. I work at Tab Bank in Ogden, Utah. And the order I got mine was AAP in 2014. After that, I got NCP, then APRP, and then just this year, the AFPP.
Kayla, you want to go next?
Of course. My name is Kayla Mancipe. I work at WestPay as well. In 2019 is when I got my AAP, and then I gave myself a very strict goal that every 2 years I would get the next accreditation. So it was the AAP, the NCP, APRP, and then this year the AFPP.
Andre, you want to go next?
This is Andre Orda. I'm from Wells Fargo, and I actually got my AAP in 2004. I actually got my CCC that same year.
Excellent.
I was in the inaugural class of the APRP, and then I took my exam and the AFPP this year.
Okay, excellent. Eric, how about you?
Sure. Eric Nelson. I work with Key Point Credit Union in San Jose, California. I got them in the same order pretty much that Connie did. I got my AAP in 2004, like Andre. And then I was in the inaugural class of all the others. I got the NCP first because that was the next one that was available. A caveat on that one, as Jim knows, they offered it to industry insiders the first year, actually. So Jim's old boss got it, and we weren't allowed to, which really bothered me because I wanted it. And but I took it the next year as soon as they opened it up to the public. And then the same thing for the APRP and AFPP. Then as they came out, I just got those right away. So yeah, I'm as sick as all the rest of you.
Nathan?
Hi, my name is Nathan Carmen, and I'm with WestPay as well. I did mine in a different order than everyone else, apparently. I wanted to go with the punishment first. I did the NCP, which I still think is the hardest one. And then I did the AAP, the APRP, and the AFPP.
And I didn't mention my order. I think I had the longest gap. I got my AAP in 97. Then the NCP, as Eric mentioned, the second year was available. APRP in its inaugural year. And of course, AFPP last year, just like everybody since it was its first year. Nathan kind of brought this one up. So let's say which one was your favorite, or which one did you, let's say, enjoy the most taking? We'll mix it up. Jeremy, why don't you go first?
Sure. So my favorite was probably the AAP, and it's mostly because I spend the most time in it in ACH and actually using the AAP. I don't spend as much time with the other ones except for AFPP.
I totally agree with that. This is Carmen for those of you listening without the visual, but I love AAP. Like it's weird. I'm like in love with AAP. You cannot take that away from me.
Anyone else want to chime in on one that they like more? Connie, you got to go with the NCP.
I know. I'm going to go with NCP. This is
course.
Connie. Yeah, NCP. I don't know why. I did checks very little, just enough to be dangerous at my institution, and that was it. And then when I got here to WestPay and I took that NCP, I was just like, and I don't know. I thought it was easy, but I'm a check nerd. I don't know why. Who else? Who else is a check nerd? Andrea?
She's not the crown princess for nothing.
Yeah, the FPP was the hardest because I didn't know very much about checks.
Yeah, I agree.
Same.
AAP was the funnest, most fun. This is Eric, back in the early 2000s, because I got to go and see Mike and Regis and have them teach all the classes that I was taking back in those days from WestPay. And we would drive to, in my case, San Francisco, and go to the hotel, park in the garage, walk down the street to Market or wherever, go to the hotel, and go into the room in the hotel and, take those classes and everything. It was a lot of fun, and I didn't know anything about anything, so it was all new and different and kind of fun.
Does anyone want to give any love to the AFPP or the APRP?
I was going to give love to the FPP. That was my favorite. I love instant payments. I think they're awesome. That's my jam. Exact opposite Connie, though. If you asked me if I wanted to take the NCP again, I would not do it in a million years.
I think AFPP was new for me. This is Jim, and yeah, I'm with you, Nathan. I enjoyed that class a lot. I think they're doing a good job with it. It needs some help still. I mean, I think there's some ways to improve it, but I think it's the payment systems of the future. So I think it was a valuable one.
Yep.
Want to give love to the APRP?
I would say that one was the most challenging one because it was fun too, but because this is Kayla, but all of the payment channels in one is what it felt like. So it's kind of like a refresher of all of the AAP and the NCP because it combined what we had already learned. But that exam is one I will never want to do again.
Yeah.
Is it the after dinner mint of a payment accreditation?
Yeah, it's just the FFIEC, Yeah.
The AFPP was my favorite. I actually worked with Push to Card and with RTP and FedNow as a stretch assignment, even though I was in the ACH. And so it was a little bit easier for me than when I took the actual exam.
That's fair.
Yep.
Oh, you mentioned you actually have 5 then, because you mentioned, Andre, that you have the CTP as well.
Yes.
So you're like the super overachiever, end of the class.
Put all
here.
of us to shame.
Yeah.
And everybody on the ACH team and even my family tells me I'm an overachiever.
That's that's 5 impressive accreditations to earn. So that the
Yes, I
CTP
agree.
is one I haven't tried. So, okay, we'll try this one here. So is there anyone who would like to share a specific skill or something you gained from one of those accreditations, something maybe helped prevent a loss or helped improve a process at your organization?
Yeah, I would say that having those accreditations is really impressive with our clients. And I have a lot of conversations with clients because I'm a product manager for ACH. And so it really helps me a lot when I have those conversations with clients about natural rules, about what they're supposed to be doing. And so that is really what helped me with those accreditations, and also to have those conversations with clients.
Nathan, I was going to say that just knowing the rules and it helps with processing returns and understanding when you can and can't do things and knowing the timelines and having those timelines memorized and being able to make those returns timely. I think that saves a lot of potential losses and things like that. But I think overall, the biggest impact of having the certification is just the opportunity to advance your career and to put yourself out there in the industry and meet people and get to know everyone. So it's just been really, really advantageous to have those as far as a career impact.
I totally agree. I think this is Carmen. It's one of those things that it's yours. You get to take it with you wherever you go, not encouraging, of course, anyone leaving their current job, but it's really nice because you get to use it in your job, your day-to-day job, but you also get to take it with you and keep that knowledge with you wherever you go. And whether that's within your own organization or not, I think it's just a really unique skill that is nationally recognized, easily transferable, and it's a cool thing, I think, to have as just an industry kind of idea.
I would add that having the certifications is also kind of a personal confidence boost also. And like I've had to, over the years, several times build ACH files from scratch and create reversal files and return files when systems couldn't do it for us. And just having that knowledge and the confidence to do it was very helpful for the organization.
Same, Jeremy. I remember working in ops and we had a client who was having issues getting their file to even upload. It kept erroring out. And it was so nice for me to be able to say, line is giving you the error, and okay, here's what's supposed to be here. What do you have? I would have never known that stuff without the exam prep.
Speaking of exam prep, does anyone want to share their study process, like routines that you found helpful, resources, techniques?
Yeah, this is Kayla. I can share this year with the AFPP and with my APRP. The note cards went digital, which was really challenging for me to train my mind to not have physical note cards to touch and to feel and to know which ones I knew really well. And one thing I used the past two accreditations was the payments professor on YouTube. I thought it's just so genius what he does so that you can focus your mind on learning. Of course, I've always done all the WestPay trainings, but having that extra way to stimulate my brain instead of looking at note cards on a screen, he was super helpful, especially for the AFPP because he's doing a lot on faster payments. But I love note cards, but I also just love walking and re-listening to the training. So that's something I focus on every day after work or at that time after I was finished with my day, just taking a walk and re-listening to the WestPay trainings because there's so much good in them was kind of my routine. And note cards, they're not fun, but they're the old and faithful way to memorize things.
Yeah, for the AAP, I focused a lot on the SEC codes. I just took the guidebook and read through all of the SEC codes and then just set myself like a 30-minute window every day to study. With the more recent ones, I just listened to the training sessions on repeat, just over and over.
You had to have gotten tired of hearing me
Oh, I
and
did.
Connie.
What? Never.
Yeah, I did the same. I listened to the recording over and over and over. Sometimes I had something that I didn't hear.
Yeah.
Made sure I had all the materials, the ones that were considered extra.
Yeah, I think that's important. Is you gotta take that time to study. You gotta set that time apart for yourself. No matter what you do to study, you gotta make the flashcards because I just do flashcards at commercial breaks whenever so that was one I really enjoyed and rewriting things down to writing a process back out. So
You, Eric, do you have any tips you'd give everybody?
I actually don't give tips for this kind of thing because to me, it's very individualized. The way that everybody studies is different. Like Connie said, some people love writing things down and that really burns it into their brain. Other people love the flashcards, like Kayla and Connie mentioned. And I'm not a flashcard guy. I'm not a note-taking guy. I'm not really a studying guy. I didn't study for any of these, actually, to be honest. I'm sorry. I guess I have to be honest. I just basically go through the training and then go take the test. I'm a test taker. I like the tests. I like the exams. I think the best thing for me is taking like tests, mock tests over and over. And sometimes you have the ability to do that. Like I remember on the old CD-ROM that we had, the ACH Pro thing back in early 2000s. Remember that, Connie? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna head up the tail here and say that when I started, I moved in from a branch to operations, and my SVP said, "Hey, you should get a certification." And I was like, "What are those?" And so she's like, "Here, start with this one." She showed me the NCP, and she said, "Call these people at WestPay; they'll help you out." And I've done all the classes with WestPay for all the certifications, and I can't say how much of a raving fan and promoter of WestPay that made me, because it was so helpful to get to know all that information from Jim, Connie. John used to do them a lot. And so that's really for me that made me fall in love with WestPay. And that's why I work here now, is because I think what we do is so unique and so helpful to the people in the industry. And I think if you really want to go for these certifications, starting with WestPay is your best bet.
Thank you. All right. So we had some advice from folks who are thinking about taking it. Carmen, you said don't take two in the same year.
No.
Anyone else want to give some tips or advice to anyone who might be thinking of earning one or more of these accreditations?
I guess I would say don't be afraid of not passing your first time. I think that test fear kind of mentality gets into a lot of people's heads. And I'll say firsthand, I had to take the NCP exam twice, and I was shocked when I didn't pass the first time. I was shocked that I was able to kind of sit back and realize how much I had learned, even though I didn't even pass. I was, once I got over the emotion of like, oh, that's lame that I didn't pass, sitting there and thinking like, oh my gosh, I learned a ton. And so being able to take it for that, I think is really helpful. And I know it's easy to say on this side, sitting here with all four now, like, don't be afraid, it's fine. But I think just remembering that regardless of your result, while it's important if you pass or fail, obviously we all want to pass, trying to remember that you're here to learn is giving yourself that grace and focusing on that really being the goal.
Yeah, this is Eric, and I agree 100% with that. I mean, I hadn't even thought about that until Carmen said that, but I've known a lot of people who have had to take the exams a couple times, three times. Sometimes I know people that have never passed them, and it's always because of test anxiety, not because they didn't know the material. And that's why that advice to me, is so valuable, because think of the first time you take any of these as kind of your kind of test run for taking these tests, because there's more to it than just studying. And that's why I say study the way that makes sense for you, because there's more to taking these exams than regurgitating information, way more.
It's totally true. Thinking about the experience taking my first one versus my second one, just the logistical experience, Eric, like what you're talking about, is night and day. Because the first one, I was I was so scared about like my purse. Well, I can't bring my purse, but I'm not leaving my purse in the car. Like,
Right.
and so I remember hiding it and then just being super nervous and then getting in there. And then they had all these lockers and I'm like, I could have just brought it in. Like, yeah, those little things that you like stress out
You
about
stress
and then
over.
you realize it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just great advice. I think
Yeah.
just don't worry if you don't pass anytime, whether it's your first time or your second or third time. Don't worry about that. Like Carmen said, you'll know so much more just from the studying and any classes you go through, any materials you deal with, whatever it may be. You'll know so much more, and you'll know the process, which is no small thing in and of itself.
Anyone else have advice they want to share?
Hi, this is Kayla. I have a severe anxiety with test taking. So I don't know why I keep doing it to myself, because every time my heart races faster than it ever has before. And so I think those nerves are okay. One thing that I've done, and it seems so silly, but it's like a little ritual that I have to do with myself now to like calm myself, but I get there early. So if you're going to get to an exam, get there early to give yourself a lot of time to find all the all the places you need to go. But also I think like just to take some deep breaths. I am weird and I bring like lavender oil and I just sit there for like 5 minutes and do a little meditation to be like, it's okay. Like, you're not going to get fired over this. You're not going to have your life end if you don't see that pass afterwards. So, for all those who have taken the AFPP or took an exam where you don't get the results right away, that's terrible for someone with test anxiety. Just, I guess, know that too, and just be okay that you might not know the results right away. But one thing from my prior financial institution where I managed and I encouraged employees to take exams, I always told them the best way to learn is to teach. So find someone that you can just teach what you're learning. And when you start teaching it, you find out you know a lot more than you think you know. And you're able to apply it a little bit better than just hearing how an ACH file is formatted. So just even if it's a partner, a friend, a parent, a coworker, like, hey, can I tell you about ACH for 5 minutes and just teach what I've learned? It's really boring. You're not going to like it.
Put him to
Or maybe
sleep.
you will. You might sleep. My husband, I mean, back then at my first exam, we just sat in a park and he learned a lot about ACH that he doesn't remember, but it was great for me because it solidified my knowledge of what I was learning. So find someone that you can do that with. I know both Echo and Nacha offer like buddy systems, like former accreditation, people who have accreditations where you can partner with them, but just find somebody to teach your knowledge to, and you'll find out that you know so much more than you think you do.
And that's every one of us here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
just gonna add one other thing to that. You mentioned kind of that support structure, and I think that that's really critical as well as your management. If you're a manager, your staff, if you're a staff member, your coworkers, and family all know that you're doing this and you're working toward this because they'll give you the space and the time to go study, to attend the webinars. I had young kids when I did several of these, and I told my wife, "Hey, I'm gonna go sit in this room. I'm gonna lock the door, and I'm gonna be in there for a couple hours." And she was graceful enough to let me do that. And then I had bosses that were really, really supportive and let me go into a conference room for a couple hours a day. And if you have that support structure, it's really going to help you pass the test because you'll be able to prepare and have the time to dedicate to yourself.
Yeah, and study groups are good as well. So, particularly with the NCP, I participated in the study group because I didn't know as much about checks as I did about ACH. And so, being part of that study group was really, really helpful.
Totally agree.
The last advice I would give is because I took my AAP in 97 and when I was transitioning out of that position, I thought I'll never need this again. So I didn't keep my credits up and I had to take it again to get recertified in 2001. So I think a couple of you mentioned I would never want to take that test again. Once you pass, keep your credits up. That would be the advice I would give. It's easier to keep your credits up than it is to take the test again. Although I will admit the first time I took the AAP, I did not believe I passed, and I did. The second time I took it, I walked out of that thing thinking, I passed. So might have been a little arrogant, but I knew that second time I took it that I passed that test. But the other ones, every time I walked out of the other ones, and I took them all so long ago that I always had to wait weeks to find out. Never got the instant gratification of finding out immediately that I passed or failed, so I had to sit there and dread. So that's the other nice thing about most of them now, with the exception of the AFPP. You get that immediate gratification of instead of having to wait 3.5 or 2.5 months to find out.
Yeah, and actually, Jim, I took the AEP originally in 1994, but
Oh,
I had a job. I was a project manager, and I supported more than just ACH. So my boss wouldn't allow me to pay for classes to get my continuing education credits. I would have been if I had kept it up. I would have been in the category to have the permanent AAP. But then I had to take it again in 2004. I
yeah,
would
that
agree.
was
It was a lot easier the second time.
yeah, that was the inaugural first 2 years of the AAP. That's not something a lot of people knew, that there was the lifetime AAP, that if you took it the first time and then passed with a high enough grade 4 or 5 years later, you would have the AAP for life, never had to sit for it again. I missed
Exactly.
that. I wasn't in ACH early enough, but that would have been nice to. There's still a few people out there that are active in the industry that have their lifetime AAPs.
Yeah.
And back then we had like 6 SEC codes and, it was easy.
Exactly.
It's nice to know, like me, you took it when you were in preschool, when you were identified as a payments prodigy, Andre. I thought, here's someone in grade school that should take it. And then your high school teacher said, no, you don't need that anymore. So you had to wait till you graduated from high school to take it a second time, right? All right. Anyone else have any closing thoughts before we wrap everything up?
I would say, Jim, that the West Bay classes, Kahoot was awesome. I really liked that, the Kahoot at the end of the class, to really understand what you're missing or what you really knew.
And they were fun. They were just
So
fun.
you're saying Kahoot is a hoot? Is that what
It
you're
was.
saying?
It was a hoot.
I agree. I agree.
Those were fun.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Andre, Eric, Jeremy from joining us, and my colleagues, Connie, Carmen, Nathan, and Kayla. If anyone wants to learn more about these accreditations, we're going to have more information available in the session description. We want to thank our members for listening in. If you're interested in becoming a member of West Bay, you can also visit our membership page, which is also going to be available in the session description. And of course, you can like or subscribe to the Payments Perspective podcast anywhere podcasts are available. Please join us next time as we continue to work together in shaping the future of payments.
Bye, y'all.